Hey, there's that song. It's that song I play on Wednesdays. It is Wednesday, indeed. November 21st, 2018. It is 12 o'clock midnight Eastern Standard Time. It is the eve of Thanksgiving 2018. If you're listening, welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here. I have to be honest. I probably expect, Baz Gage, I see you. I'm watching. I don't have a moderator tonight. It'll be me. So I don't expect a huge crowd tonight because it is the night before Thanksgiving and a lot of people are busy. But I imagine, I'd like to imagine that people are going to get bored at the family dinner tomorrow and look for something to do while they're sitting around and maybe listen to this while their families are sitting around talking about some shit that they are really not interested in, they don't want to deal with. I've been there. I can't tell you how many Thanksgivings I was ready to tune out about an hour after the dinner was over. Good day, mate. Baz Cage. Are you from down under? Or is that just one of your hobbies, going down under? Anyway, if you're listening, thank you. Tonight's topic is going to be, as advertised, is Mark Zuckerberg too powerful? And I will explore that. Is Mark Zuckerberg too powerful? I'll get into that. I'll chit-chat for a few minutes, and we'll get settled in here. I know that here in our house, the holiday madness has started, and that's what I always call it, is holiday madness. This rush, once, you've got like this pause between Halloween and Thanksgiving where it's like, okay, the craziness is about to start. And they really try to push it, like before it was even Halloween, I saw some Christmas products being staged in stores or actually being on some shelves. And it's like, come on, one holiday at a time. That's the way I like it. One holiday at a time. I do have some interesting to share with you. And I'm going to drop a little hint for those of you that want to do a little bit of research or are really wise in terms of music trivia or something like that. I have secured, I'm not going to say who it is, and I'm not going to say what band yet, but I'm going to drop a hint. I have found out, I have confirmation that I have secured an interview with a well-known musician in a goth band. And I will say that this goth band is currently touring. That, of course, helps. But I'm going to meet said musician in this band and interview him. And I don't think it'll be live. We'll can that. We'll bring that back and do some post-production. But there'll be photographs. And we might do a bit of live streaming from the event. We'll see what happens. But I have secured an interview with a really well-known musician in the goth world, someone that has played in a lot of well-known bands around the world. And I'll drop the hint. The band that he's playing with, for the most part, or this incarnation of this band, I should say, released their first single on August 6th, 1979. And they're a goth band. So the genre is goth, and August 6th, 1979 is the release date. And that will be a clue as to who this person is. I don't want to build too much hype over it. It's probably if you really do look it up and you figure out who it is, it's probably not the biggest name that you might be familiar with, but it is someone in the band. And yeah, that'll be cool. That'll be something to look for. That'll be in January. So I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And I hope everything is going well. And I just know I can see from the chat room that I have one person. And I know that people are going to listen to this later. I get it. So excuse me. Anyway, um, yeah, that's all I wanted to say about the interview with the musician. Fascination Street with Jimmy and Mika. What's up? And happy Thanksgiving from Brandon Young. Fascination Street. Mika, happy birthday. Mika recently had a birthday, as well as Jimmy. Everybody, all of them have a birthday. I think that's all they do over there in the UK is have birthdays, right? Was that a bizarre stereotype? Anyway, I'm going to be on Fascination Street with Jimmy and Mika next month in December. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So keep an ear to the ground for that. And listen to their show, as a matter of fact. And don't just listen to it, watch it. And anyway, so I am going to just kind of start digging into tonight's topic. Looks like we got a couple people going on in here. And I will say, I don't think so with the crowd that I see in the chat room, but please play nice. Do not troll each other. I don't think I have to say that to anyone that's in the chat room right now. But the last show, someone got booted. We finally, we'd been running since August and hadn't had the problem, but then it started. So I just want to tell everybody, please be cool with each other and respect each other in the chat room. You can disagree and you can agree to disagree. And you can poke fun and whatever, but be nice. Play well with others, please. Thank you. So, this topic is Mark Zuckerberg too powerful? I wish that I could say that I was sitting here in my office today and I cooked this one up all on my own and that I'm some kind of journalistic genius, but I cannot. CNN ran a story by Lori Segal, and she's with CNN Business. And this segment was ran during AC 360, and someone was sitting in for Anderson Cooper. And you can find a link to this video in my description of this episode. And I watched that interview with Mark Zuckerberg. I was interested because I just wanted to see what he had to say, especially now that the election was over. And like everyone else, for good or bad or for whatever personal reasons, I think Mark Zuckerberg is kind of an interesting person. He's achieved such, whether rightfully so or wrong, or wrongly so, perhaps, he's achieved great success. And I think the way that he has achieved this financial success has been controversial even from the beginning and continues to be so. But at the same time, we cannot deny that there are 2 billion plus subscribers to Facebook worldwide. Think about that. 2 billion people. We're talking about one company and especially one CEO, one singular person who can speak to 2 billion people, should he choose to do so. He can manipulate the dialogue, he can edit, he can censor, he can spin if he chooses to do so. I'm not saying that Facebook does that. And I know that there are going to be a wide range of opinions on Facebook on this topic. And I get that. And I entertain some of those and some of those I don't. I don't know. I'm not, I kind of think Facebook is what it is on the one hand. I think it's nothing but a pure capitalist machine. You know what I mean? Get you interested in the format, kind of get you hooked on the product, and you volunteer everything yourself. You give it to them, including your picture, including the details of your life and your thoughts and your experiences. And then they mine that data to sell to companies. And then they in turn, try to then appeal to your sensibilities and get you to spend your money in their direction. And it's clever. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to completely knock it because I use Facebook. And I quit using Facebook, during the scandal and the news of the last couple of years. And then I went back to it. I, in some ways, found it irresistible, but also there's just a really big audience there, and you cannot deny the impact and the social reach of Facebook. It is pervasive, and I think there are good things about that, and I think there are bad things about that, and we'll look into that a little bit tonight. Um, in this interview with Laurie Segal, of course, in my opinion, I'm not gonna uh, take personal jabs at Zuckerberg or mock him or anything like that. I will say, in fairness, he's an unusual guy, and he's probably not someone that you would pick as a spokesman for a company. And I think it's good that he probably rarely does interviews. He's pretty stiff, and he's pretty uptight. He's a very guarded person, and it seems like almost everything that comes out of his mouth is like a scripted soundbite. Like he is terrified to, actually express himself. And, maybe rightfully so. There are public investors in Facebook now. And yes, he is unusual. I see Brandon Young. And yes, thank you, Fascination Street. I got troll stomping boots in a US 14. Nice. If I knew how to make you a moderator, I would, but I know you will. Thank you for that. But anyway, back on topic. So yeah, Mark Zuckerberg is I don't know. The guy, in my estimation, probably does lack some basic social skills. He's not charming. Let's put it that way. He may be a very nice guy. He may be very generous. He may be very sweet. I don't know him, never met him. Don't know anyone who ever has. Haven't really heard any personal stories. But he's just not he's just not that personable. So some of his responses, kind of the coldness of his nature or his guardedness mixed with his canned statements and replies to some questions make for a bad combination, which sometimes paints a bad picture. Part of what was said in that interview on CNN is that Facebook has added an independent third party that users can go to appeal a dispute with Facebook. And that third party will make a determination either for the user or on Facebook's side. And so it's a independent, quote unquote, third party arbiter between users and Facebook. And I'd be interested to know, do you think that they're truly independent? Do you really think yeah, I see Fascination Street. I quit Facebook. Sorry. I'm not gonna get I can't look at the chat room. I'll have to look at it later. It's for you guys. I'll glance once in a while, but I can't stay on track and kind of do that kind of thing. It really throws me off. So yeah, that was this third party arbiter for Facebook. Do you think that they're truly independent? Do you think that they're functioning without any influence from Facebook whatsoever? I don't know. I haven't done research into who they are and how that mechanism works. I just picked up on this story today and I thought it was intriguing and thought provoking. Something else that came out is this is a direct quote from Mark Zuckerberg. A lot of the criticism around the biggest issues has been fair. And he also said, we have a different worldview than some of the folks who are covering us. And I would say so. And I don't know, quite honestly, what the fuck that worldview is, because they are helping nation states spread horrible propaganda. They have been slow to respond to their platform being used for nefarious ends by nation states and other countries and other people. And that's part of what I want to talk about tonight is, yeah, they have a different worldview. And you have to wonder, at what point does consumerism or greed or corporatism take over? And at what point do they become more altruistic, maybe lean more towards the end of the spectrum of a utility, a public utility, rather than a personal platform? But it's already a private company, and I respect that. And I'm a big believer in intellectual property, as a matter of fact, and I want to put that out there. So I get it. They are they're a publicly held company, but they were a company that was created by some people, and it's their platform, and they own it, and it was, for good or bad, their idea, or it's what they have developed over time. And take that as you may, but it's theirs. It's their platform. And I really do believe that it being theirs, Facebook being the company that built the infrastructure, they have a right to police their own platform. And I think it's ridiculous to imply that they don't have a right. I'm not saying they're always right. I'm not saying they're always wrong. I'm just saying they have an absolute right. They own that platform. And I don't think that can be disputed. So I think it is up to them. I don't think anyone should force them to lean towards that utility end of the spectrum, that utility that's available for everyone. I don't think they should be forced to do that. But I wonder if they will develop a corporate conscience at some point and decide to err, if you will. It's not an error, but to side with the public and the overall good of the worldwide community, of the 2 billion people that use their platform, instead of their own corporate greed, because their reach is incredible. Name anyone else, name any other company that can directly reach out tomorrow to 2 billion people nearly simultaneously worldwide. Who else? Here's the question I want to pose. Is that ability to reach out to 2 billion people across nations, across state lines, across cultures, simultaneously, 2 billion people, does that power transcend the power of the President of the United States? Does that reach and that power transcend the leaders of China, England, North Korea? Name your country. Pick them. Name them. Tell me who else can reach out to 2 billion people tomorrow, nearly simultaneously. That's a great deal of power. That's a great deal of influence. And Lori Segal, she posed a question to Mark Zuckerberg in their CNN piece. And in response to the question as to whether Facebook can effectively be a part of politics, she asked him, can you guarantee that you can control it? Meaning, can they participate in political advertising, political content, and support it? And Mark Zuckerberg's direct quote to that question is, with the right support from governments and partnerships and a ton of investment on an ongoing basis, I think we can stay ahead of these sophisticated threats. I'm going to read that again. I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to give you some emphasis. With the right support from governments and partnerships. Governments. He's admitting that they need to partner with governments. And I don't know if he means that they need to have different types of negotiations for their platform with more oppressive or repressive governments, more fascist type regimes, or if they mean and policing citizens from their own country and how they post online from their country. And I suppose that's another way to look at it. It would be more of a regional policing that, say, it's up to, let's spin the country, Australia. Let's say it's up to the Australian authorities to monitor and police the citizens of Australia and what they post on Facebook. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm putting that out there as a possibility. That's something to think about. So he's saying they want to have partnerships, whatever that means, probably other corporations. As a matter of fact, I know that's what he meant by that, was other corporations and a ton of investment on an ongoing basis. So that's something to tell stockholders, hey, we need a ton of investment on an ongoing basis to keep this company secure, to keep the data secure, to keep our content policed. And he says he thinks they can stay ahead of these sophisticated threats. And I'm skeptical of that personally, because hackers and other internet ninja types are very adept at innovating new ways to fuck with all the rest of us on the internet, corporations and individuals alike. So, what are your thoughts? I will take a moment. I will pause. I'm going to take a look at the chat room. Brandon Young says third-party arbitration means Facebook decides how to proceed. I've seen arbitration clauses where you have to fly to Paris for arbitration. And can we put that in the fucking absurd category? That's where I would like to put that. Let's see. Baz Gage says, if you are a public servant in Australia, your Facebook posts are monitored. So that's interesting. I mean, how many American politicians, how many public figures have been burned for their Facebook posts and their Twitter posts? A lot. We could dip into that, and there would be a lot, but we're going to stay on this Mark Zuckerberg business. Excuse me. The central question and the title of this episode of Special Thoughts number 2, by the way. Should your power be checked? That's what Lori Segal asked Mark Zuckerberg. And I liked his kind of goofy, stilted, kind of wooden. He works. I'll tell you what I see when I see Mark Zuckerberg. And I'm not picking on him. I'm talking about human observation. And I am a good study of human behavior. Mark Zuckerberg looks like someone who is exploding on the inside, but has somehow managed through some superhuman feat to contain it all with an exterior of complete neutral apathy in an attempt to mask this explosion that's going on inside of his brain. I mean, you can just read his eyes. Like you see the wheels turning, you know something's going on there, and you know it's intense, but he just will not express that. He will not give that up. And I don't know, what's your opinion? Does that make Mark Zuckerberg wise? Does that make him media savvy by giving as little red meat as possible for others to chew on so that he can continue to do his job and do what he does and avoid controversy himself? Or does he seem like someone who has so many secrets that he doesn't dare crack open that closet full of skeletons and start going down that route where he starts to let out secrets or divulge something he didn't want known, And at different points, it seems like both sometimes. I'm not saying it's either or. It could be a combination of both. But anyway, Laura Segal asks him, should your power be checked? And he had that kind of off balance response. This is his direct quote to that question. I always talk about how we need to partner with governments around the world, companies and nonprofits, and other sectors. And then very quickly, she was kind of, it wasn't that cut and dry. He was talking, and it was a little bit like they were talking over each other in that moment. Or he was talking, and very quickly he rushed in. He said, so yes. And then with that very quick interjection of so yes, he finished with, I don't think fundamentally that we're going to be able to solve these issues by ourselves. And what that really means, that last part of that, it's funny, he didn't want to answer her question. He had to begrudge it, he had to frame it. He had to throw something out in the very beginning, and then he just wedged in very quickly. So yes, which is an acknowledgement that his power has to be checked. But what's the sincerity level on something that you have to quickly interject like that? What's the sincerity level of a quick affirmation slipped in between other more sophisticated sentences? But that last part, I don't think fundamentally that we're going to be able to solve these issues by ourselves. You know what I think he's saying? He also said, in relationship to this, there are always going to be issues. There is going to be someone that is posting something that is problematic, that gets through the systems that we have in place, no matter how advanced the systems are. And he's telling you right there that there's always going to be problematic content material on Facebook. So what he doesn't want to admit, what none of them want to really admit, they won't just directly say it. They just can't be straight up about it. They have to be evasive with their language, is that you really can't 100% trust the content on Facebook. And that's what they really need to say. They need to say, hey, guess what? The job is too big and we can't do it. And we don't want the fucking CIA doing it for us. So use your own brain, use your own judgment, use your own discernment, and try to figure out, the truth from the hype, from the BS. You have some responsibility, I think, as a citizen, if you're going to consume the news, and especially if you're going to spout opinions on social media. I think you should at least educate yourself, at least to the minimum requirement, so that you can have some kind of independent opinion that isn't spoon-fed to you through mainstream media. And as an aside, as a sidebar, as my friend Sean Betzel likes to say, as a sidebar, someone criticized me on Facebook for posting, a couple of things from CNN. And it was on my private, or not private, but it's on my personal Facebook page, not on the Mysterious Forces Live page, where I turn to, I tend to post my personal political views on my individual page, but I don't put the political stuff on my Mysterious Forces page. That's for the Mysterious Forces audience, and I keep this show neutral from politics. This is not a political show. And this topic about Mark Zuckerberg, it's not a political topic. This is a societal topic. Should one man, should one company have that much reach unchecked? He's told you in this interview, you can hear him say it with his own mouth, his own voice, that you cannot 100% trust the content on Facebook, that the job is too big for them to handle. Again, he said there are always going to be issues. And that's a nice speak, He ends that phrase, something that is problematic, that gets through the systems that we have in place, no matter how advanced the systems are. So that's it. I mean, that's the bottom line with that. You got to use your brain. And I found another video. I put the link in the description as well. This was a video that was posted by Fast Company. And this video was published to YouTube originally on September 16th, 2010. And I want you to pay attention to that date, September of 2010. And there is, it looks like a panel. I'm not quite sure what the context of this is, but there's a woman at the top of the clip. Her name is Soraya, 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 Soraya Darabi, Darabi is her last name. Soraya Darabi. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. And her title in the video is Product Lead, and I assume it's for a company called Drop.io. I don't know if they still exist. It's nearly 19 years later, so, they could not exist. And she is the one who posed the question there. And it's funny, if you watch that video, you'll see how many people were subscribing to Facebook at the time, and it was like a 500,000 people, or maybe a 500 million or something. And she was like, what will happen if they reach 1 billion people or more, and blah blah blah. And we're already at 2 billion plus now in 8 years. So Soraya Darabi is the one who originated this idea. She posited, is Mark Zuckerberg, is this company more powerful than the president of the United States? Does their power, does their reach transcend any government? And here's what we all need to be asking each other, and what we need to be talking about. What checks need to be put in place to keep Facebook honest? At what point do we draw a line, the 2 billion of us, and say, hey, we like your platform. It is useful to us. Maybe there is some way for you to do commerce to make a profit. I don't begrudge Facebook making a profit. They built the platform. The ideas are theirs, right or wrong, no matter what the backstory is. Legally, the ideas are theirs. It's their platform. They built it. They created the infrastructure. They're the ones who were able to go public. So they have made something out of nothing and gotten rich. And not only have they gotten rich, but they have suddenly found themselves with a 2 billion people simultaneous reach worldwide. What can we do to keep them in check? Would there be some kind of independent council? Would that be something that the United Nations would do? But then again, if it was only the United Nations, I mean, who would enforce that? You know, are we suddenly going to have an United Nation enforcers of internet content? Much like we're having this kind of, as a country, the schizophrenic reaction to Saudi Arabia with the Khashoggi brutal assassination. And our schizophrenic response of being horrified and yet embracing the hand of this rich country for their money and their national product, oil. I'm looking. Anyone heard of Facebook Workplace? It's basically obligatory Facebook at work. That'd be horrible. I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought. I was talking about Saudi Arabia and our schizophrenic response to this murder, and where we're at as a country. Do we want, who do we want to police the internet? And the problem is, and other people have said this, I'm not the originator of this idea by any means. I'm sure that many people espouse this idea before I was born, many people. If you support the First Amendment, if you support the idea of the First Amendment, then you are obligated to support unpopular speech and speech that offends you. You must support speech that offends you in every way, that could be as offensive as possible to you, that could be hurtful. I think the line is drawn at inciting violence or calling people to violence or any other act that endangers individuals or groups of people. I think that's a clear-cut line in the sand, to use a cliche. I think that's one way to look at that. But I think that you have to be willing. And I don't want to stray too far off topic, but, you know, this also leads into the Alex Jones territory, Alex Jones being deplatformed. And I certainly have an opinion about Alex Jones. And it's not positive, but the reason I have a negative opinion about Alex Jones, those are my private reasons, okay? Do I think Alex Jones should have been deplatformed? I think that Twitter and Facebook and these private companies, or public in some cases, but privately held companies. They're not government utilities. That's what I mean by privately held company. I think they have a right to police their platform and kick anybody off that they don't like. And that might be unfair, and that might be biased, and it might be a fixed game for those companies. And that might give those companies undue influence over certain demographics of our society. But I think they have a right to do it because they own the platform. And if you don't like that about those platforms, then don't use them. That's the deal with the devil you make, right? That is the deal with the devil you make with the terms of service agreement. You make a deal with the devil. And so, yes, it's fun and everyone's doing it, but yes, you're compromising when you use that platform. And maybe someone should think about starting some independent platforms that are like utilities, that have more of a democratization aspect to them. And I know some people have tried, and I know that I tried going to OnStellar, and I have an account on OnStellar, but I could never get interested in it. It seemed kind of sterile, and it wasn't moving very fast. And a lot of just people reposting stuff. And I know that that's what happens on other platforms, but in some ways, I found no reason to go to OnStellar just for someone to post a YouTube video of Richard Dolan, when I can just go to YouTube, or better yet, go to Richard Dolan's members page and join, which I do. I pay the monthly subscription for Richard Dolan's members website, and I'll give him a plug. You should too. It's cool. There's exclusive content on there, and to be quite honest with you, I'm going to be doing something similar to that next year. I'm going to break out the website, and there'll be some subscription level stuff going on. I'm not going to do Patreon. I'm going to do my own website, but I don't want to get too much off topic. So, does this reach? What does this mean? And in the broader sense, back to my last point. Who do we want to police us? Do we want to police ourselves? Are we, the public, capable of that? We have lots of complaints about the authorities, whether they are abstract in nature, like legislators, and the court system, kind of these hidden people, the hidden power behind the laws, or the people who are out on the streets every day enforcing laws, and the different agencies, the alphabet agencies, the local law enforcement. Where do we draw the line on who we want to police our internet content? Do we want Nazis on there? Hell no, we don't. I think Facebook has a right and an obligation to keep Nazis off. Here's my thing about Alex Jones, and I will circle back. No, I didn't forget about Alex Jones. Here's the one thing people seem to forget. No one is stifling Alex Jones's First Amendment rights, because Alex Jones is allowed to have a website, and Alex Jones is allowed to have subscribers, and he's allowed to sell his products, and he is allowed to have a platform, and it is his own platform. The only thing that So if his First Amendment rights are being completely denied and suppressed, he would not be allowed to have a website of his own. He would not be allowed to have subscribers. He would not be allowed to go out in the public square like he did down in Austin, Texas, at his embarrassing fucking child custody case and rant to the local media. I mean, they wouldn't let him do that if his message was being suppressed, if his First Amendment rights were being taken away. He wouldn't be allowed to have a website, but he does. He has a website. He has subscribers. He's still making money today. It's just that YouTube and Twitter and Facebook told him to fuck off. So you can agree or disagree, but they have a right to do that. But Alex Jones didn't lose his First Amendment rights. He's still spouting his opinion on his website. He can write articles. You know, people can publish that. No one has taken away his First Amendment rights. So that's a picture of the kind of power that a company like Facebook has. They can decide, you know, Alex Jones, we don't like the shit you're saying. Delete. Goodbye. You're done. Clickety click. They do a little programming. They write a little code. They put some algorithms in place, and then they start scrubbing Alex Jones from their platform, and then any mention of him or everything that everyone tries to sneak in. You know, I don't like Alex Jones. I think he is really just an asshole, quite honestly. I think he might have had some topics in the early part of his career where he was touching on some things, some classic conspiracy theories and things that had a grain of truth to them somewhere way in the background at the beginning of his career. But the person and the broadcaster that he has evolved into is, I don't know. It's pretty sad, really. It's kind of embarrassing, in my opinion. But a lot of people are put out. Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg can say no more Alex Jones. What would you do if you could reach 2 billion people tomorrow and send them any message? You know those little those messages that you put on Facebook where you can choose a fancy schmancy background with the colors and stuff to get everyone's attention. And you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? When shit is serious, when somebody has fucking died or something like that, it's always black. It's the black with the white letters. And you all know that, right? The serious shit is the black and white. You can use red if you want to get everyone's attention. You're kind of angry or being kind of boisterous about whatever it is you're putting out there. And then if you're being a snarky bitch like I am, there's the laughy faces, the crying laughy faces. And then sometimes there's the seasonal ones. I really like the Halloween ones. You know what I'm talking about. If you could write one of those tomorrow and send it out to 2 billion people simultaneously, what would you say to them? Not a series of them. You don't get to pull a Donald Trump and do multiple ongoing interconnected messages. You just get one. Write it in the chat room. That's my challenge to you on this Thanksgiving Eve. Write it in the chat room. If you're in the chat room now, what would that little message thing say to 2 billion people tomorrow? And I don't have an answer, and I didn't start this conversation saying that I had an answer. But what I want to do is pose the questions, and I wanted to zero in on this. Like I said, I wish that I had been the journalistic genius that sat here and thought, is Mark Zuckerberg too powerful? But I wasn't. I saw the interview online, but it really sparked something in my brain. And that's why I give Lori Segal of CNN Business complete credit for her work and her interview with Mark Zuckerberg. She interviewed him in Menlo Park, California at the Facebook headquarters. Once again, like I said, I put a link in there, but that was broadcast on Anderson Cooper 360. I believe that was tonight. And if not tonight, last night, but I believe it was tonight. But that was posted today. So she gets the credit for sparking this in my brain. But that just made me stop and think. That's a motherfucker that can talk to 2 billion people. He can control 2 billion conversations tomorrow. How many hundreds, thousands of companies can he affect? Products, jobs, taxes, political messages, societal messages, left and right politics, nation states are allowed to misuse the platform to assist them with genocide, murder, the worst atrocities that humanity is capable of can be facilitated by Facebook. And Mark Zuckerberg has told you they really can't completely stop it all. If you had built something that helped people commit genocide, would you consider turning it off and doing away with it instead of continuing to allow it to exist so that you make a buck and have an easy life and go to sleep in a fancy ass bed every night and never have to worry about your bills again? But there's genocide, there's terrorism, there's violence, misogyny, white supremacy, political shenanigans. We all know the recipe, right? We know what's going on. I don't know. Think about that. Next time you log on to Facebook, think about that. You're interconnected with 2 billion people, potentially, simultaneously, theoretically. But you're just one of 2 billion plus people plugged into the same thing. Are we cyber organisms now? I don't know. Share your thoughts in the live chat or in the comments. If you didn't hear this live, if you listen to it later, if you are sitting at your family's house or you're in some kind of a family Thanksgiving situation that you don't want to be in, maybe you're stuck at work, but it's dead because it's Thanksgiving and you're just fucking off and listen to this. Leave in the comments. It's the happy music. I didn't go for a full hour. This was, it's 47 minutes long. But it's Thanksgiving Eve. And I don't want to end on a downer. I just wanted to post some interesting thoughts. I want you to think about the holidays. If you're here in the U.S., it's Thanksgiving tomorrow. If you're like Jimmy and Mika over in the U.K., tomorrow's just another fucking day. Who cares? But tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Think about what you're thankful for. Hug your loved ones. Tell them you love them. If you haven't seen them or talked to them, call them. And if you want to love me, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the share. That's how you can show me some love. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I appreciate it. You know what? I have done it again. I set my screensaver at 30 minutes and it still came on and I could not click the button to end the damn show on time. And I thought I was doing so good. So remember, once again, the hint about the goth musician I'm going to interview. That's coming in January. There's some other things cooking. Thanks for hanging in there. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Be kind to each other. Be thankful for what you have. And share that hope with others if you can. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Good night.